Hello, everybody. This is Jyoti here from Xanara, hosting the Fireside chat here with a very cool dude, friend, colleague, Simi. I always get her last name incorrect, so I'm just going to address as Simi. Simi and I go a long way. I would say roughly about 2008, 9. Yeah, and Simi manages, she's responsible for talent management. I'm going to let Simi tell you all about herself, but I know she got me the first break into the private banking field, and I owe this career move completely to Simi to where I am today. Simi, welcome on board. You're like a big sister here to me. But more than that, I know you as a thorough professional. I know you as a mom. I have known you as a single mom. I have known you now as a full-grown wife, daughter, mother, friend. Simi, tell me quickly about yourself a little bit in a minute. Just introduce yourself to us.
So first of all, Jyoti, I respect you as much as you have shown that respect to me, and I think you're one hell of a power woman, and I'm very honored to be here as one of your favorite seven to start off this amazing initiative that we're going to try and share some of our stories to empower the bigger universe outside us. Quick introduction, I was born in Calcutta, very proud of my parents who are still based there, went to St. Stephen's College, was very proud then as one of the first 6 women who made it to the class of economics. Really one of my best times of my life, and then moved on to London, did my master's. And in the course of my life, I've lived in about 7 countries, including Iran, where I wore a burqa. And I tell you, I learned a lot about women's rights. And, nevertheless, I think I respect the time I had in Tehran because it's a great country, great culture, great people, and how people navigate the lifestyle that they have to, but they are a very successful breed of women we know who come from there, from professors to doctors to aestheticians and so on and so forth. And in the course of my life, eventually landed up in Miami, and then from Miami 18 years ago I moved to Switzerland, which has been home now for 18 years and continues to be home. I naturalized here as well, even though I'm still very proud of my Indian roots and heritage. I have 2 amazing kids, Akriti and Sunny, 27 and 22. Very, very proud of their initiatives.
You don't look.
And an amazing husband. As you said, I was a single mom, but I found my love 10 years ago. Actually, it's going to be our 10th anniversary in July. And he's a Swiss gentleman. And together, we are a patchwork family. I inherited 2 amazing boys as well. So, I'm a mother of 3 boys and a young lady. And very passionate about what I do, which is bringing talent to organizations, finding people their dream jobs, counseling, women, younger women as well, mentoring, and helping bigger organizations or smaller outfits like yours to really connect the dots with the right talent. And I'm part of Options Group. We're a global executive search firm, and I've been with the firm for 12 years, and I'm a proud partner of the firm. Where I'm also leading D&I. I'm a committee member and I'm co-heading the D&I initiative. So I'm very passionate about inclusivity, diversity at the workplace, and how different organizations, and because we are a global firm, I get access to, stories out of the US, out of Asia, out of Africa, out of Dubai, out of Europe. And there's one common I would say benchmark. Everyone is looking to make the world a better place through inclusion and diversity. And I think I want to be that one little difference, I want to make that difference in my own way. And actually this year of my placements, 80% already are mostly women. So I'm quite proud of that, which is a challenge in private wealth management, as you know, which I'm leading.
So tell me one thing. So you say 80%, right? Now, how has this new normal changed your way of working?
COVID has actually been, in some ways, a blessing. Why? Because you connect with many, many more people through technology, which we always had, but we never took it as a resource the way we do now. So while I'm in the people business and there's no substitute for meeting people, I think COVID has enabled more bandwidth and more access to people in a very short time without getting on a plane, without, So on the one hand, I just think it's brought the world closer. It's ironic, but it has. It's given us, I think I've spoken to you more in COVID than in the past. And it's really because of technology, and
Absolutely.
I think that is where I think it's a boon. And if people use it wisely, of course, we talk about Zoom fatigue, and work-life balance is also important. But on the one hand, it's brought me closer to my colleagues, to my peers, to my clients, to the bigger world. So I think COVID also has taught us that if you really believe in yourself and you have the power, it's just another obstacle. And if you're resilient, you can get over a hump, and you have to be creative. And I think a good leader is all about challenging what's happening and finding a solution. And I think this is one thing I've learned, that I was surprised myself that not just me, but people around me, everyone has really adapted to this new normal, and we're chugging along, and life is moving with a new, kaleidoscope, or whatever you want to call it.
So tell me, when you say 80% of your talent
this year,
this year, you're saying it's ladies, women, right? I mean, is it an abnormal number, or is it suddenly you see women wanting to come out? What is the change?
Well, I think it's a combination of factors, and it's a very
you specialize in private and wealth.
Correct. Yes. Private wealth management is, and you know that you're one of the first few ladies I actually engaged with and proudly placed. So it's definitely a change in perspective from organizations. Number one, everybody wants more diversity. So there's obviously a push factor as well coming from all the organizations we work with. Every client I speak to says, if you have a diverse talent, we would like to engage with that person. So that's on the one side. On the other side, I think women are also coming out of their shells. There's a lot of organizations, there are a lot of, let's say, just there's more noise around coming back to work. Bigger companies like Credit Suisse and UBS even have return to talent programs for women who've taken maternity career breaks, and they give them an opportunity to bounce back through special career starter programs. So on the whole, I think just the bigger society is also changing to embrace for women. And I personally, I am making a more concerted effort also to try and identify women who probably are somewhere lost in the crowd, but identifying them, bringing them on the table, giving them the confidence, and also making sure that they are acknowledged for who they are, because they bring a lot to the table, despite the fact maybe they took a career break or had a maternity leave or any other challenges that women typically face, in their careers. I think it's a combination of my own initiatives, the bigger piece, the world changing and embracing more women. And also organizations are now becoming more reactive. It's not just we need to have diversity. They realize that diversity will come with a lot of benefits. So I think that's where I see the change. And I think I'm just super proud that this year, for whatever reason, has started with 80% of my placements to date being female. So it's fantastic.
So, okay. So you meet, I mean, hypothetically, many candidates, because you get mandates from, banks or institutions, or from, players like us too.
Right.
When you're evaluating candidates, right? And then you would have the resumes of the males and the females. And when you talk to them, right? What is the key differentiator that you see between a male and a female candidate for a particular position? What is the key differentiator that you would see as a talent identifier? Because end of the day, you have to present them to your clients, right?
Yeah.
So the due diligence of the candidate rests with you first.
Absolutely. And that's a very important point. I think the due diligence is super important, as you mentioned. But I don't think I would push forward a female candidate just because of the gender. If my client has a certain role, and let's say there's a very capable gentleman or LGBTQ or any other, it really depends on more the fit. But let's say we have a very successful woman who's not been noticed, who's under the radar, and if I can bring her out and bring her forward to the client, and maybe she would have missed the opportunity, I would definitely take that extra effort on that person's behalf to also showcase her abilities. And sometimes I feel women also don't think they're as good as they are. So part of my job is also, when I speak to successful female bankers. I recently spoke to someone who was almost at the verge of a burnout, a very successful MD level private banker. And I could see that the pressures of, let's call it the COVID crisis, children at home, having to run her book and deliver, and having potentially a boss who's not very creative and adaptable, was causing her more issues than she even realized. And when we spoke, I think it was more like a call to make her realize that she needs to slow down. It's not about changing a job at this point. It's more about finding her feet on the ground and then reassessing the situation. So really, it's really a case-by-case situation always. And that's why I think we are more consultative. I wouldn't even call myself a headhunter. I call myself a consultant, because I do like to understand people's situations, evaluate, guide, gauge, and then, help them find their path.
So you've been with Options Group, you said about 12 years now,
yes,
is it?
My 13th year, correct.
Yeah, and you've been married now for almost 10 years to Thomas.
Correct.
So you were at that phase when you were actually a single parent before you found the love of your life, right?
Yes, I was.
I mean, you had two, I still remember the two kids, right? I've met them. I know the big Akruti and Sunny are big now. That phase of a single woman and a new job with Options and managing two kids and being responsible for the private and the wealth industry at Options in Zurich. How were those days for you? How were you juggling?
You know what, Jyoti, I think the universe always empowers us. I always believe in that. So I first want to accolade my parents. My parents have been my pillars, and they always encouraged me. Even when my father is one of the few people I know who always said education is important. I mean, I grew up in India like you, and
I mean, I met your dad
too, where parents give us that opportunity. So I was given those opportunities, and what came to my rescue in a very turbulent time was my education. My children, who obviously continue to be my pillars of strength now, but at that time they needed me. Education was, again, for me, the biggest priority, to make sure that I get them to where they need to be. Yes. And you wake up just the next morning, you don't have time to actually cry, because there are two ways of looking at it. You cry about what's happened, or you move forward with a positive energy. And that's something I did. I just took the lemons and I squeezed it to make lemonade. And I had a very supportive a boss, a very supportive environment, friends who stepped in to help me. And I think an amazing brother who also was like a step-in father. And those 2.5 years before I met Thomas also allowed me to finally pause and find myself, because I was a trailing spouse all along with my ex-husband, following his career, changing countries, never really had time to think and say, okay, what do I really want? So that time was actually very precious. And I have a book here, which I'm going to show you, because it's called What is Your Self-Worth?
Okay.
Cheryl Saban. This was given to me by a friend. This changed my life. And I recommend this book to everyone going through any kind of transition. It's a very easy read, and it makes you think, because I felt I was kind of at a place where I needed to find myself again. So that self-worth, which I think is a very powerful thing, I found that self-worth in those 2 years. And when I found that, I think my energy was back, and I could actually go into the world, and the universe started working with me. It's as simple as that. But believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing.
Did your kids learn a lot in those phases from you, seeing you as a mom working all by yourself?
You know what? I can tell this to every woman out there. Be the role model for your children. They need to look up to us. They see us. They see the trials, the tribulations, the challenges. As I say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I have to say, they were as strong, if not stronger, because if they were weak, I would have weakened as well. But we were a good team. We embraced the situation, and they have never let me down. Till date, I'm a very proud mother. They both have excelled in their education. They're, more than finding jobs, I think they have their heart in their right place. They're very good human beings. And for me, that was the most important thing, because being a single mom and giving a value system to your children, making sure that they enter the world with the right values. And the world is super challenging, as we see today. And I think they even showed me in the pandemic that despite that being of the age, they couldn't socialize, they couldn't go out, but they have been quite calm and adapted to the new normal in the best interest of the bigger society to do the things correctly and wait for things to turn when they can go back to resuming a normal life. But very, very proud of them and their commitment to their own lives, not letting anything hold them back, rather moving forward as well with a perspective. And I think single mom or not, I think as a mom, we have a very big responsibility, and our children are watching us every day. We don't even realize, even when they start walking, how we feed them, the first spoon of rice we give them, how we do everything is observed by the child, and the child will always look up to you. Or if you don't get it right, they will also be very, impacted.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And you are an amazing mother, Jyoti, too, as I know, and you're two amazing young ladies that you brought, and there. So we all know, and the challenges of managing work, family, and making sure that then not one part is neglected.
Absolutely.
Balance. Yeah.
So tell me something now at your company, at Options Group, right? I mean, it's a worldwide organization. I know that offices across the globe. How do they view leadership in your organization? What is the expectation of a partner, a female partner like you in the leadership group?
Let me give you a quick, Options Group is a fantastic organization. And one of the reasons also I could make my goals, because they are very creative, very understanding. There were times when I was maybe feeling insecure. They still believed in me and allowed me to keep growing, right? So to answer that question, we have a very hands-on approach. Our CEO to date is a hands-on 360-degree consultant, so a fantastic role model. And a 30-year-old or a 60-year-old, everybody has an equal opportunity. It's up to you to make it. It's a very entrepreneurial company.
Yes.
The same tools, the same opportunities are available to everyone in the firm. You can pick it up and grab it and go. Last year, one of our consultants of the year was somebody, I think was 32-year-old young man who was the biggest biller of our company. And that just shows to me, that's everyone's recognized. And then the consultant of the year was a person sitting in India operation. We have 15 offices globally. So we are a very agile firm, hands-on approach. There's no kind of, glass ceiling. Anyone can go and try to reach that glass ceiling. And the second part of your question, I feel very proud to be one of the 3 female partners in the firm. That shows, we are 300 people in this firm, and we are 30 people in the managing committee, of which, one of the 3 partners. And there's always an option for women in the firm to grow. If they really want to grab it, it's an open playing field. So I think the firm is really very agile, creative, and it's not just in the pandemic. In the pandemic, of course, we showed how creative and agile we were. But even pre-pandemic, and I'm talking about 10 years ago, I never felt that being a woman was a hindrance in my company. To the contrary. So I'm super proud. And we have about 45% women in the company, which is already a very good statistic. And I'm always hoping that some of the executive directors are going to be the future partners and kind of mentoring and helping them in the landscape that we have. Of course, it's a challenging world. It's a man's world on the Wall Street that it was, right? So it takes a lot of courage to enter that world. And
yes, it is.
But if you can do it and have your heart in the right place and you're consistent, transparent, you believe in yourself. And in our business, it's a people business. It's actually quite tricky because you're relying, your product is your person that you're placing, so it takes a lot of courage as well to believe in someone and that person entrusts you on their journey, and then to bring it to an organization to make sure there's a successful marriage. It's a very interesting job, and no 2 days are the same. But the firm, honestly, from my perspective, gave me all the opportunities, and it was really up to me how to then take it forward. But at no point did I feel that I was not supported. If at all, they supported me all along the way. So it's a great journey, and I hope I'll be here till I retire.
Sure. Now tell me something. Now, you would have placed, like in the last 10 years, I would say hypothetically, 100 talents?
About 145, I believe.
Talents. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, this could be right across from the top to the bottom,
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell us a story of the most difficult placement that you would have had, or the most challenging placement you could think of? Something that really would have touched you in a good or a bad way, probably a good way, and you really had to go out of the league or the mile to get this person placed up. Something that really would have touched you. This 140 is a big number.
I think I'm actually going to share the story of my first placement in my journey.
Okay.
The good part is that I actually have kept in touch with all of them. I've even been to bar mitzvahs, weddings, so on and so forth. But I think one I would like to highlight, probably the first one, because I think there are many special ones along the way. But the first one is even more special because there's a gentleman I placed at a family office in Zurich 17 years ago, and he's still there. Okay, for me, that's already a great mark. And funnily enough, I spoke to him 2 days ago. Why is it special? Because I had just entered the world of search. And at that time, I was not with Options Group. I was with a Swiss company. And my boss gave me this project. This was a challenging project because this family office was just being established. It was literally not, now it's quite a prominent family office, but at that time was not known. And they were covering the Latin American market. Latin America was a tough one in Zurich to find someone who spoke Spanish, had a Swiss passport, and the access points to clients in Argentina, Peru, and Chile. And but I took the challenge and I found this gentleman, and super proud of where he is today because I placed him as an associate, and today he's the head of the Latin American business. Very humble. Again, someone who, it was not an easy journey for him as well because as you know, it was more like a startup, and now that has come to a certain stature. But I stayed engaged with him, and I always do with my candidates. I think that's very important. You don't place someone and walk away. That's for me, it's a journey. You're like a dentist. You basically
yes,
and like you and I, you were my candidate, and now you're my client. So it's a journey. And this gentleman now called me yesterday, in fact, and he is growing the business for Latin America, and he wants me to partner with him because he said I can't even think of another headhunter. Because I realized not only you placed me, you never tried to take me out because you encouraged me to stay where I was because you saw the long-term plan. Yes. And I'm grateful today because I have reached a situation where I'm managing the business and now I'm looking to grow and I want your help. So it's almost like, wow, it's a full circle, right? Your candidate is your client is your candidate, and he's doing really well. And for me, that's my success is linked to his success, and he's happy, most important. He tells me he gets up every morning feeling challenged. And that, I think, is the most important thing.
Fantastic. What challenges you, Simi? You wake up in the morning. Yeah, you wake up in the morning and some people say, I want to go to work for the following reasons. Or I want to go to work because I have to put my punch card, because I need to have an attendance. What drives you every day?
I think I love what I do. 15 years ago, it was very need-based. I had to get up to do it for my kids, to be a single mother. Thankfully, that's changed. The kids are standing on their own feet. But I am still super happy getting up in the morning to start my day again. And I think what is nice about the job is the diversity of the job. No 2 days are the same. I can plan, I have a certain agenda, but it can change. And yesterday I had a call with Tokyo, Dubai, New York, Miami, and London. Okay, that's quite in a day, and then these are different roles. One is a compliance role, one is a CFO role, one is a private banker role. Some are clients, some are candidates. And that diversity, that even though I'm sitting at a home office, I felt like I traveled the world. It energizes me, it boosts me. I feel good by the end of the day. And that is so fulfilling. And in the end, when as I said, when I'm successful, my success is linked to making a client happy, making a candidate, making sure that there's that marriage. And when that happens, the fee comes and goes. You forget about it, right? But that journey is super amazing. And I think also the diversity and inclusion that I mentioned at the beginning, that's becoming not just a topic. People are beginning to walk the talk. And I'm also engaged in a lot of those initiatives. And I feel extremely, there's so much you can do in a day. Sometimes the day is not long enough.
Absolutely.
Simply. So really, that's for me is I love what I do. And I think that's almost a luxury that when you find something you do that you love, bingo, happy times.
Is there a proud moment of your life, personally? Something that you really are very proud of?
Well, I'm very proud of my children. I think my pride are both my children. And I think recently my son just graduated from London School of Economics with a master's. He found his first job on his own initiative. Mother might be a executive search consultant, but literally on his own. He's got a very interesting opportunity which he just started. And I have several such other moments. Actually, it's so difficult for me to define because both the children have made me such a proud mom. And that also is very energizing. And on the personal side, I'm also very proud the day I became a partner in the firm. I was in tears. For me, it was a long journey with a lot of things. But when I actually stood on the podium, we had an offsite in New York and in front of the whole company. I was accoladed and I was very proud, very proud. And for me, it was also, if I can do it, I know there are many others who can follow. So don't let anything stop you in your way. Every challenge, embrace it. There will be tough times, but look forward and keep going. And when you keep going, and if you work hard consistently, the goal will come. I don't work with a goal. I work towards a goal.
So are the kids with you? It's a very funny question at the moment because I know they're adults, they're 27 and 24. I know they're supposed to be on their own. I mean, but with the COVID, I don't know how the families work here. So are the kids there right now under the same roof?
Both the kids had flown the nest 7 years ago. My daughter left 7 years ago, my son 4 years ago. They were in London. My daughter was working there. My son went to do his undergrad and postgrad. As far as I was concerned, my life had changed dramatically. Me and my husband, work and golf, that's my other hobby. And come COVID, it's exactly funny. 1 year ago, 18th of March, my children came home and they never went back to London. It just, my son went into virtual learning and my daughter actually transitioned her jobs in June last year in Zurich. She works for one of the private banks. And here we are, the whole house is buzzing. We're a mini corporate tower because all four of us are working. Each room is an office, but we're together. And I think that's the beauty of the pandemic.
How do you manage the 4 adults under one roof right now? I can understand you manage your husband, but the 2 adult kids, right? I mean, they're there. So does it happen a situation where all of you are having an opinion and there is one final word? So is mom the final word?
Mostly, yes, I have to say that. But I think we are a very good team. We have 4 very different personalities, actually. And I think that's why it works. It's like being in an office, right? We're different parts. Since we are such different personalities, we have the yin and the yang, the fire and the water. Mostly, I think through the pandemic, actually, I would say we've had very little friction. But there are moments where I have to just say, somebody's feeling low or the pandemic is getting to them. Let's pick up the pieces, guys. We still have a lot to be grateful for. The glass is still full. This is going to change. So yeah, of course, mothering never ends, right? I'm still reaching out to my mother when I feel low, and she's an amazing power woman. And she's the one who peps me up, right? So similarly, I think, I feel like I hold the piece together, but they are great team players. So together we've done pretty well, I think, through the pandemic, touch wood, and looking forward to it ending.
If someone were to ask you a situation like, say in a state, you face a very deep adversity in your life, right? What would you do? How would you change that to your own benefit?
Well, I think hopefully that was the biggest adversity that I already faced when, my marriage, for whatever reasons, didn't work out. It always takes 2 to tango. I never say, I'm right, somebody else is wrong. Just didn't work out. I'm picking up the pieces and moving ahead. I think I've already gone through the fire, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and the pandemic, I think, is a second situation that all of us are dealing with.
Absolutely.
And if we are, I think the whole human race has shown so much resilience. But to be honest, my parents are my biggest strength, and I cannot imagine a life without them. And that is a future that I don't even want to envisage. So that's kind of like a call it a fear, call it...
It's a fear that you have.
It's a fear that I live with, and I'm so glad they got vaccinated 2 weeks ago. That at least gave me a little bit, because I think the sleepless nights I was having was the pandemic, was my parents, and making sure that they are safe. So touch wood. But they are resilient. Again, my role models are my parents, and they've shown me, even in the pandemic, they did not complain one time to me. I speak to them on FaceTime every day, always positive. This will end, we are good, we are fine, get on with life, focus, you can do it, we can do it, and so far so good.
Fantastic, good. Simi, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. I mean, I could go on. I mean, I know you and I could just go on doing girly talks, you know that,
Absolutely.
Right?
Fantastic.
Yeah, listen, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure. We'll reach out to you for more. This is a startup initiative. Where this is going to lead, I have no idea, but this is something that I always wanted to do. And thank you for being one of our participants. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you for being a mentor as well.
And thank you, Jyoti. And I think this is a great initiative. I feel really honored. Good luck to Xanara and all these wonderful initiatives. And of course, our journey continues.